I would like to reflect with you a few women in the Bible. They are hidden but champions of pro-life. One of the topics much discussed these days in the society and religions is women's equality and empowerment. As our late Holy Father, Pope John Paul II, said prophetically that 20th century belonged to the laity. It is said that 21st century belongs to women. We are aware that the tradition keeps the popular Sabarimala shrine in Kerala, an Indian state, off limits for women, though right to worship is our fundamental right. Hindu women are fighting to end this discrimination of denying a section of women from entering the temple. Couple of years ago, I read in the newspapers how a Muslim woman in Tamil Nadu, a state in India, shocked the Muslim world by her writings. She stopped wearing burqa and talks about the blind beliefs and ill treatment of Muslim women. For the past 40 years, many women in the church have been reflecting. They began to look at God, the scriptures, the church, and the world through the eyes and the hearts of women. A new world opened out before them, and a new awareness emerged, which has helped them to understand that they too have an equal share in the liberation brought about by Jesus, that they too have a great responsibility of making their contribution to the church and to the world. The truth of the equality of all persons in the Bible is grounded in the mystery of creation. According to the first book, Genesis chapter 1 verse 27, human beings were created in the image and likeness of God, and they were created male and female. From the very beginning, therefore, humanity is described as male-female relationship. Hence, our God is not only a God of Abraham, but also of Sarah, the God of Isaac and also of Rebekah, the God of Jacob and also of Rachel. Without these women partners, we wouldn't have got the next generation. Biologically, the humans were created as man and woman, but the idea that one is superior to the other is anthropologically untrue. Let's go back to the Old Testament, the second book, Exodus. Suppose I ask you this question: who liberated the Israelites from the Egyptian slavery? Who liberated the Israelites from the Egyptian slavery? Many will answer Moses. That's how we have been taught in our catechism classes. We do not know the 5 women associated with Moses and the important role they played in the life of Moses in order to protect him from death. God initiated the liberation struggle of the people of God in Egypt through 5 women, though Moses, called by God to lead the people to promised land, comes into the picture later. Among the 5 women, the first 2 women were Shiphrah and Puah. They were wise and courageous Hebrew midwives who initiated first civil disobedience movement, a non-violent resistance in the Bible, and took a stand for the sake of truth and justice. Bible does not name Pharaoh, but midwives are named Shiphrah and Puah. They are bearers and carers of life. After these two young women, then comes the mother of Moses, who literally hid her child for 3 months using her creative and courageous brain. Then Moses' sister Miriam comes, protecting the child by standing near the river Nile, and thus triggered a chain reaction. Finally comes the fifth person, the daughter of Pharaoh. But she does not have the mentality, attitude, and prejudice of her father Pharaoh, but courageously defies her father's order. In this session, I would like to focus attention on Shiphrah and Puah, the two young Hebrew midwives. Let's go back to the first chapter of Exodus history. In Egypt, the Israelite people were growing in number under the bondage of the Pharaoh. The Israel people were growing in number, though they were slaves in Egypt. They were more numerous and more powerful than Egyptians. This growth disturbed the king of Egypt. Because of his fear, he commanded the two Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, to kill all the Hebrew boys when they were born. He said to them, "Let us deal shrewdly with them, or they will increase, and in the event of war, join our enemies and fight against us," as we read in Exodus chapter 1 verse 10. Hence, he gave the Israelites back-breaking work and oppressed them with forced labor. But as we read in the verse 12, but the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread, so that the Egyptians came to dread the Israelites. So the king of Egypt, in desperation, sought the help of the two Hebrew midwives and said to them, "If it is a boy," as we read in 1:15, "if it is a boy, kill him. But if it is a girl, spare her." It was Pharaoh the male who found male children a threat and dangerous, and ordered to kill them and spare the girl babies. He saw female babies as a non-threatening entity. The Pharaoh was also confident that no Hebrew would dare to disobey him, since they had become completely enslaved by the Egyptians culturally, economically, and politically. These midwives awaken our conscience and teach us to value life. See the way Bible describes about these two Hebrew young girls in 1:17. The midwives feared God and did not do what the king commanded them to do. These women feared God more than the unnamed Pharaoh in Exodus, who could have easily had them killed. These two women understood sanctity of life, and they knew what they did in God's eyes mattered most. The midwives valued the lives of the children they were commanded to kill. These women were not protecting their own children. These little ones and their parents weren't related to them except that they were all Hebrews. But they defied the king for their sake because they realized the importance and value of all life. Generally, women choose to protect life. Whether it is abortion, infanticide, child abuse, or the way we treat the disabled or the elderly, we need to stand up and protect those who cannot defend themselves. We need to value life irrespective of gender, age, and position. Value life. Another lesson we learn here is obey your conscience. This is the voice of God. Listen to Him in silence, then make a choice. Fully aware of the dangerous, even fatal consequences of disobeying the mighty Pharaoh, these two women made the brave decision to follow their conscience and reap the consequences by disobeying him. There may be extreme consequences for our actions, but we do have a choice. Pharaoh was an evil and powerful man, but Shiphrah and Puah risked their lives to do the right thing. In Acts of the Apostles 5:29 we read, Peter and the apostles said to the high priest when they were told not to speak the name of Jesus, they said to the high priest, we must obey God rather than any human authority. These two young Hebrew women, they obeyed their conscience and not to Pharaoh and faced the consequences. The third lesson these women are teaching us. We are called to be courageous. They would have been expected to cave in to Pharaoh's command to secure their own safety. But they held strong to what they believed and refused to kill the Hebrew children. If they had conformed to traditional feminist stereotypes of women as women are weak, unable to make up their minds, and lacking in discrimination, these are the ideas about women. Women are weak, they cannot make up their minds, they are lacking in determination. These two Hebrew women would have gone to their menfolk for advice, and perhaps Exodus story would have taken a different course. But Shiphrah and Puah were strong and courageous women who feared God. They made their bold and independent decision and continued with their work as before, because their trust and faith in the God Yahweh. The next lesson we learn here. it soon became clear to Pharaoh that his orders were not carried out. The hated Hebrews continued to produce sons and daughters. So he summoned the midwives and demanded an explanation from them. I ordered you to kill the male children, but they are multiplied. Why didn't you carry out my order? Without any nervousness, Pat came their clever explanation, saying that the babies were born before they arrived. As we read in chapter 1:19, Hebrew women are not like Egyptian women. They are hardy and give birth before the midwife can get to them. We do not know if the Pharaoh was fully satisfied with this explanation or not, but evidently even he could not deny the soundness of their logic. He knew just how hard Hebrew women slaves were forced to work, while his own Egyptian women led much easier lives. So the Pharaoh let the midwives go, commanding them that henceforth all Hebrew boy babies were to be thrown into the river Nile, but every girl was to be spared. It was into such perilous circumstances that Moses was born. The influence of righteous persons can impact generations. We know Moses as the great deliverer of God's people, but Shiphrah and Puah may have been the ones who delivered the deliverer. And these two courageous women were followed by Moses' mother, Moses' sister, and the daughter of Pharaoh. All five played important role in the liberation and salvation history. With Moses' life spared, how many other lives were saved from Egyptian bondage? Our upright life can change the lives of those around us for years to come. The last lesson I would like to share with you, that the courageous actions of these two obscure women, Shiphrah and Puah, and the defiance shown by them was only the beginning of a chain reaction triggered by women, wherein Moses' mother and sister and the Pharaoh's own daughter dared defy him. As we read in the next chapter 2, verses from 1 to 10. And through the fearless, single-minded actions of these women, Moses was protected and nurtured to adulthood. Thus the lowly midwives and the three other women began the struggle against the Egyptians. This led to the Hebrew liberation. If they were not God-fearing, and if they were not courageous women, and if they had not dared to defy the king, the liberation history would have been different. This early act of civil disobedience saved many children's lives. These women are great examples of how we can resist an evil regime if we have faith in God. Since texts like this do not form part of our liturgical readings, the courageous role played by women is still unknown to our religious world. Many of us, we have not heard of even the names of these first two women, though Bible mentions their names as Shiphrah and Puah. My question to you for your personal reflection: have you heard of Shiphrah and Puah before? Have you heard of Shiphrah and Puah before? Why do you think their life story has not been related to us in spite of their brave deeds? How are we motivated and challenged by their actions? How are we motivated and challenged by their actions? How have they awakened our conscience to do something creatively in that particular circumstances, in that particular context? We may not be able to change the whole world, but our little action, little courageous action will definitely make a difference in our world. Thank you, my dear friends. God bless you.